All right, for number four. All right, for number four, what makes it really challenging is that you've got to know what is going on. Now, for number four, it's like a very high leverage, high risk kind of thing. If you see it, good. If you don't see it, you're on a very bad path. What are you supposed to see? What are you supposed to see right here? When you look at this little equation, huh? You have the factor. How do you know you have the factor? Yeah, there's a 3 sitting in front of it. So if you can't see you need the factor, then you pretty much say goodbye to this question. So you have to develop your senses. Now, but you may ask, like, wait, hold on, Mr. Chan. How would I know? How would I know that it's going to be, it needs to factor? Now, that's also the reason why I gave you a little equation back in the unit. Do you remember this equation? Okay. Now, you know, for linear line, we have those forms, right? We have slope-intercept form for linear lines. And we do that because it helps us extract information. We say, oh, for y is going to mx plus b, if there's a number sitting right in front of x, that's called the slope. Now, we also have these forms for other functions. And for absolute value function, or for many other functions, it goes like this. And we say, well, if you have this form, then it's a lot easier to extract information. And then you look at this equation right here, and then we say, well, is it exactly in that form? And we say, well, it's almost there, almost, except the part inside the absolute value symbol. That's not quite there yet. And that's why we need to change it so that it resembles the same form, and it allows us to extract some useful information. And these information can now help us graph. We're like, oh yeah, that's a negative in front of the absolute value function. And guess what? We're going to have an upside down V as a result. We're going to move to the left 3 units and up 2 units. That's our vertex right here. We are going to have a horizontal shrink by a factor of 1/3. So that means our slope is going to be steeper. So our slope is going to be something like this. Now, the advice that I want to give you, I want to share with you here, is that if you try to memorize everything without a solid backup or justification, it is going to be very risky, because your brain is going to mix them up. Because our brain doesn't like this kind of memorization. So it's very important that behind every single action, you're like, oh, how would I know? How do I do it? That's always a how, that's always a why when you handle these challenges. Okay, so again, how would you know that you've got a factor? So you've got to know the original form, and that is the original form. It's this with A, B, C, and D. And since there's no parentheses inside and there's something more in front of X, that's how you trigger and say, hey, that's something we need to take care of. Now, I would not stop you from writing this down on the test. The first thing, if it helps, sure, it's fine. But it's more about how do you make good use of it, okay, when you have it on paper or in your mind.